This is just for a sound check. I'm going to talk a little.
I'm also going to talk a little. How is this on the sound check? Yeah.
The average length of a worm is about 10 millimeters. Hashtag worm facts.
Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we are inching through worm. I'm Jenny.
I'm Ted.
And I'm Moose. And/or Tanner.
Yay!
Moose and/or Tanner.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, Tanner as we know him, and Moose as folks on Discord know him. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
So tell me, what is your history with worm?
It's really funny. I was just listening to the very first episode you put out, 0.0, where Ted talked about his intent with the podcast was to kind of sucker people he knows into reading this ridiculously long web novel through the slow introduction of the podcast, and that's exactly how I got into it. I obviously
Such victory.
know both of you in person and decided to listen. I respect both of your opinions, especially about like stories and things like that, really highly. So I started listening to the podcast. After you finished the first arc and read that first interlude with Danny, I was just like, all right, I'm all in. I started reading.
Nice.
And I looked up the date of when that episode came out. And when I messaged on Discord that I finished, and it was just about a month. Took me one month to read all of
That
Worm.
is so much faster than I'm going to read Worm.
Yeah, I am impressed at your restraint.
Sometimes it's been tough. It was really fun. We're actually, Ted and I are taking some vacation time this week to, just like chill around the house and also record some podcasts. We recorded 3 other episodes today in preparation for getting together with Tanner. And I will say, it was very satisfying to just be able to read a few chapters end to end.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so fun. And now the norm is that Jenny will read the next chapter immediately instead of waiting for the next episode.
Sometimes.
Which is so much worse for me because she won't talk to me about them.
No, it's true.
Oh, yeah.
Which
You
is
can't
the
spoil our best content.
Admittedly, is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But occasionally, I do get the reactions where she'll be like, "Oh no," or she'll laugh.
You're just hearing it from the other room, and I want to talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You've been waiting to talk about it with her for so many years now.
That's
I know.
true.
That is
That's true.
That is true. Yeah.
I have new respect for your restraint.
That's so exciting. Well, so
This time, what are we talking about?
yeah, right. We are reading. We read and are discussing chapter 5.2, the second chapter of the Hive.
Hive.
I
Do you
guess
think this arc is called Hive just because it rhymes with 5? Probably not. Moving on.
if that's a pattern.
Fun fact, worms have 5 hearts. Hashtag worm facts.
Wow, this is a new feature.
Yes.
That's all the worm facts I prepared, unfortunately.
That's so appropriate because we're in arc 5 and we're finding out that Taylor is the heart of the group, as I have long suspected.
Yes.
That was my takeaway from this chapter. That Grue is a very bad dog trainer.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
point.
Yeah.
Before, I think we're going to have a lot to say about the chapter,
Yeah.
but I think it's your turn, Jenny, to tell us what
Okay,
happens in the chapter.
Hive 5.2. So we just had this meeting with all the villains, minus the ABB. And Coil is planning to adjourn the meeting, but says, any other business before we go our separate ways. And Hookwolf stands up, the villain with possibly the weirdest name that we've met so far. He's a member of Empire 88, and he has a grievance with Bitch because she shut down his dogfighting ring, which we saw in the interlude, and it was great. And he's mad. He's like, we're not even at war and you destroy my business? And she's like, well, yeah, that's how it goes. Tough. And Grue and Tattletale are both taken by surprise. They didn't realize that Bitch had done this. And Grue kind of covers for it and convinces Kaiser that, he wants a peaceful resolution. And Kaiser's like, okay, but it's gonna have to, I can't let this go. It's gonna have to be money or blood. And Grue's like, let's table it until we're freer to focus on it after the whole ABB situation is resolved. So Kaiser agrees to table it. There's no other business. The meeting is adjourned. And contrary to my prediction, they do not stay and all talk to each other and accomplish other little interactions in business. Coil and Faultline do stay at the table and continue talking as they had said they would, but most of the other groups kind of start to leave. Grue turns to the rest of them and says, let's go. So they all walk out. And Grue is like, bitch, do you get why I'm mad at you? And Tattletale's like, why we're mad? And bitch is like, yeah, I guess. And Grue pulls her into space between a couple of storefronts and slams her against the wall and, is kind of basically choking her, saying like, I hate that you make me do this. This is the only way to get through to you. I want to know that you understand what you did wrong. It's not that you attacked the dogfighting ring. It's that you didn't tell us about it. You made us look weak. And bitch is like, you want an apology? And he's like, would you mean it? And she just like doesn't respond. And he's like, oh, do I need to talk to the boss? And then Tattletale cuts in and is like, my turn. And it's like, yeah, I get why you're mad. And bitch is like, yeah, these people are trying to psychoanalyze me. And Tattletale's like, look, it's about communication. You just need to talk to us more. And then Taylor kind of breaks it up. She's like, the trickster is outside the bar with the other travelers. Like, they're looking at us. We need to move on. So the group moves away, continue walking away from the bar, but there's tension. Grue and Tattletale it seems like they're a little annoyed with each other. Taylor's not totally sure what's going on there. Regent is just still kind of out of it because he's still recovering and is maybe on painkillers. And bitch is walking behind the rest of them, obviously disgruntled. And Taylor thinks, like, ugh, I hate that there are these tensions. It's going to be tough to betray these people. I think I can do it. We're going to talk about that. I think I can do it, but I don't want to leave bad feeling. Like, I don't want to leave the group in a bad state before that. We're also going to talk about that, which is a little weird and confusing. So she drops back and talks to Bitch and is like, she's not really sure what to say at first. And then she says, so there was a dogfighting ring. And Bitch is like, yeah. Taylor's like, you stopped them? And Bitch is like, yeah, I made them bleed. Taylor's like, good. And then they kind of walk the rest of the way in silence. And yeah, Taylor has stepped into her role as the heart of the group.
Yes, Taylor. Fuck yes, Taylor.
Yes.
So, Tanner, why this chapter?
So I think what you just mentioned at the end is really one of the reasons I love this chapter. It might be my favorite early chapter.
Okay.
I was definitely hooked during like the bank job when we saw all the action. Like I loved that part of it, and the clever use of powers from Wild Bow.
Yeah,
very
yeah.
interesting.
Absolutely.
This was the first chapter where Taylor as a character really hooked me because of this moment where she had this very empathetic moment of reaching out to Bitch, offering this olive branch of the like, hey, I know that people are upset with you, but I'm saying I agree with what you did. I think you did the right thing. And it's such a moment where you're right. She is the heart of the group. And it's like, this is when Taylor was interesting as a character to me before this, but this is when I was like, yes, fucking let's go, Taylor. Yeah. Let's go.
I think this is great.
Yeah.
No one in this group has been able to connect with Bitch. They clearly are struggling so much with it. Everyone has talked to Taylor about Bitch. And, like, I mean, maybe Alec gets along best with her, but just because he doesn't try to keep her in line, because that's not his role.
Yeah.
But everyone's been like, yeah, she's really frustrating in these ways. And we see here how they each try to deal with Bitch. We can talk about their different approaches, but Taylor actually has a lot in common with Bitch.
Yeah.
They both have this really strong mission, this like moral mission that they're on to change the world. Taylor wants to stop villainy and Bitch wants to stop like abuse of dogs. Like Taylor's kind of more about bad stuff happening to people. Bitch is more about bad stuff happening to dogs, but they have this core of like a moral mission that like they feel very strongly about. And that's something that Taylor can connect to her on, and in a way that, like, Brian using violence and Lisa using, like, psychoanalysis, that's not exactly the right word, but, like, trying to get at her, like, through psychological stuff, like, that's not, that's not the right method either.
It's also, I think it speaks to a capacity that Taylor has shown that we haven't seen from Brian or Lisa.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We've talked about Brian is very pragmatic, and he does have a reason for being in the group that is a little bit noble, but it's also, to his point, you know, it's also kind of like selfish. Like he's interested in his own family, his own sister.
He doesn't have the larger sense of purpose. It's a very personal purpose.
Right, right. And it's also like a very practical kind of example about making things better for him and his sister. It doesn't fit into a larger moral framework.
Right,
and
right.
Tattletale's like, we don't really know where she is, but she could be way off the deep end in terms of like, ha ha ha, this is fun, right? Like that's certainly the affect that she puts on. if there's something deeper that makes her tick, it's very buried under the performance that she's putting on for the rest of the group.
Yeah.
And Taylor has a strong sense of justice. She has a strong sense that innocents need to be protected. She connects dogs to children in this chapter, and children has been a touch point for her before.
Oh, right. She had to stop Loon because he was going after the children.
Yeah, and we know that Taylor is willing to put everything on the line to effect the change that she wants in the world. And I don't know that Brian and Lisa get that. Right? They're so focused on the consequences, like the obvious consequences of Rachel's mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. The risks that she's taking. Like, don't you see? And Rachel doesn't say it, but I think what Taylor sees in her is like, but the world is bad, right? Mm-hmm. The world is bad and wrong, and I'm the only one who cares. I'm the only one who can do something about it. And since I can do something about it, I will. Yeah. It's like, that's Taylor, too.
Yeah. 100%. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love how Taylor was like, good. Like, when she says good to Rachel, it's 100% the agreeing with that sort of principle of we believe in doing what's right. And she even vocalizes to herself and her thoughts that I recognize this is a shitty situation for the group. I feel bad. It must be worse for Rachel.
Mm-hmm. Like, she says that empathy.
Yeah.
I'm so frustrated with particularly Brian's approach to this. So we talked a lot in the chapter, the Brutus interlude, which was so wonderful. But we talked a lot about how Rachel really sees herself as a dog, sort of. Like she conceptualizes her role in the world that way. She follows the pack, the Undersiders, and she's sort of chosen to do that. And then she has her own pack that she is in charge of within that. And she named herself Bitch. I mean, that's just a female dog. Like, she is calling herself Dog, basically. And I think the methods that she uses to train her dogs would probably work on her. I don't know how she does it. My understanding of good dog training is that violence is not helpful. Like, hurting a dog is not going to make them obedient in the most constructive way. Like, it's not a useful way to do it.
But people think it is, which is one issue. They think they equate having like a firm hand being strict with being violent, which isn't true.
And I think Brian's father, it sounds like, was very violent with him. He comes from that background, and that is the only tool he feels like he has. And I think if he maybe paid more attention to how Rachel trains her dogs, he would do better with Rachel. But like, he says, this is the only way I can get through to you. But like, have we seen him getting through to her that way? I'm not sure that we have.
Yeah.
Brutus does think that he is Rachel's alpha, so maybe there is a sense in which she obeys him, but here we don't see this violence being effective.
Yeah. Did this way that Brian handled the situation affect your opinion of him at all?
Yes, but we've also seen it before. It kind of reminded me of, I mean, we saw him slap Rachel after she had the dogs attack Taylor, and he's like, I hate that you make me do this.
Such a shitty
and he
line.
uses the same language here. He says
almost exactly that. I hate that you make me do this.
I hate this, Rachel, that you make me do shit like this. I sound like everything I hate most in this world. He doesn't have other tools. He's using the only tools that he's been given, and they're completely ineffective. I do think worse of him. Like, I'm reading this, I'm like, there are already problems with Sumbug, the ship name, that is, of course, very official. I feel like he would, like, this makes me think he might be a violent partner. I don't know if that's true, but that is the only way he seems to think that he can relate to a person who's frustrating him. Possibly if he were in a relationship with good communication, he wouldn't do that, but like, this is pretty worrying.
Yeah, definitely a worrying behavior. I feel like I missed some of these smaller character beats the first time I was reading. You probably weren't
discussing each chapter at length.
And also I was reading so much more voraciously
Of course,
the time.
yes.
Yeah.
Even I, reading a chapter, Ted will mention something and I'll be like, oh, I missed that line. Like when I thought Armsmaster wasn't there in the Ward's interlude.
Yeah, and I don't want to apologize for Brian's behavior here. It does seem pretty clear that getting caught flat-footed in his moment of like being the leader of the Undersiders being made to look weak in front of the others, having to defend something when he had no clue what he was defending. Those all seem like things that really pushed his buttons beyond sort of the normal approach that he takes with her. But, we saw, again, in the Brutus interlude, this communication breakdown between the two of them, where he's like, I could imagine maybe this has been a toxic situation that has been devolving over time, over the course of a year or two.
Until Taylor gets here.
Right. But where Brian gets to, their confrontation is building, right? Brian is being very violent towards Bitch. Bitch, her body language is very resistant, like she's not backing down in this moment when Tattletale interrupts. And what Tattletale is cutting him off from saying, I completely buy Taylor's interpretation, that he's basically going to threaten
to replace her.
And to me, that says that, that's what he wants already. Right?
Oh, yeah. He already said that to Taylor.
Exactly.
I wish I could swap you for her.
And that is totally undermining his ability to, be a good colleague, leader, manager, whatever you want to describe his, function in the team. The fact that he wants to fire her from the Undersiders means he can't do any good here, right? I think that's something that is preventing him from going through the extra effort to figure out what's going on, right?
I think you also mentioned he talks about feeling weak. I think this interaction makes him look really weak. He's lashing out and he is, he's sort of like a toddler hitting a thing that won't, he can't actually get through to her this way. He's only firming up the resistance. And he thinks doing this will make him feel strong, but it doesn't.
Right. Yeah. Good leadership is typically being able to build consensus well, not
you have to start from connection.
Controlling your subordinates.
I mean, this is very much like a parenting moment, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't really have a parent's authority over her, which is probably part of the frustration, but it's sort of like a parent with a teenager where, you can't just exert more force on them. That's not going to be helpful.
Right. No, that's interesting. But I think we've talked about sort of Ryan's background and speculated, but I think that what I saw in the Brutus interlude, right, you have Brutus's take on it is they locked eyes and then eventually Bitch looked away. This sort of dominance behavior thing. And so I do wonder if it's a learned behavior just from previous interactions, that Brian has lost his temper before. He has increasingly yelled and gotten more violent before, but he has correctly noted that he can sort of dominate Bitch, or that if he can extract a promise or a concession, maybe she does listen to him, or he hasn't put it all together, but I wonder if this has played out like that before. And it feels like the way this is escalating, I guess I wonder if, again, not defending what Brian does here, but I do wonder if they had just continued yelling at each other and Rachel had backed down, if that would have been sort of a resolution to it. Right? Tattletale interrupts, which undermines Brian more, makes him look even weaker.
Yeah, I can totally see why she does. Yeah.
And, maybe she's interrupting because she sees that it won't work. Maybe she's interrupting because of the threat to the larger group. If there's an unexploded bomb of Brian wants Rachel out of the group, if that comes to light, maybe there's no coming back from it as far as she's concerned. Maybe she thinks Brian's being an asshole and just wants to cut him off.
I suspect she's been very frustrated with Brian's treatment of Rachel, strategy for handling the Rachel problem for a while now, because it doesn't seem to be working well. Like you said, it's just devolving. And so it might be less, maybe if they'd been able to complete, Brian and Rachel had been able to complete that interaction, maybe he would have threatened to get rid of her and she would have backed down. I don't know that would have been better exactly, but Tattletale interrupting with a different strategy that was also not effective. Not great. But I can totally see, I would have been in her shoes being no, let me interrupt.
It feels a lot of the time when you're trying to use reason and logic to argue a point that is a very moral point, it tends to fail. And that feels like what Tattletale is doing here.
Ooh.
Where she's like,
well, I don't know
here's
that
the
she's
situation.
arguing a moral point, because she's not saying you shouldn't have done this. She's saying you should have told us.
Right, but I think the logic of that doesn't come across to Bitch well.
Yeah.
Like, she's just focused. Bitch is focused so much on the I did the right thing, why are you upset at me?
Yeah.
That she's not really listening to anything else.
And it's funny that Tattletale acknowledges that, but then it, like, goes on to try to turn it to logic.
I think treating, the dog analogy, right? We've been talking a lot about that, and Brian's behavior is really bad in that context. This is a bad way to treat a person overall, but I also think the way Brian and Lisa are talking to her, they're both emphasizing basically like, you aren't listening, I can't communicate with you, I don't know how to make you understand, I don't think you get it. Rachel's responses are always like, no, I get it, but let's move on. Like, I just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But they're very patronizing.
Uh-huh.
And they're like condescending to her just by kind of the approaches that they're taking.
Uh-huh.
And it is a real credit to Taylor. Like, part of the way that she connects with her is by taking a very genuine approach.
Yeah,
and
taking seriously what Bitch cares about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just...
Not treating her as like a toddler wandering into the street, but treating her as a person who made a moral choice.
Yeah. And we talked about, like, I forget if Brian was suggesting this or something, but, like, seeing Rachel as somebody who has a personality disorder, he might have said, or, like, deeply antisocial. We talked about it being maybe neurodivergent coded, like, the sort of, like, this approach to overcoming a communication barrier with someone is, like, even more...
Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah.
Even more toxic and ridiculous in that context.
I remember, it's sort of going back to infantilizing again, so maybe it's not the best analogy, but reading about tantrums in toddlers, like, one of the things that they tell you is, like, you cannot teach them anything during a tantrum. Like, you can only try to keep them, like, safe and calm. Like, not calm, but, like, you can keep them safe and help them feel safe to, like, finish out the feeling. Like, you can't instruct during those times. And also for dog training, I don't know a ton about dog training, but I mentioned our friend who has a new puppy and has been doing a lot of reading about it. And one of the things they tell you is it's important to stop behavior. Like, if a dog is going to erupt and do something, it's important to recognize and stop it before it happens, because once it's happening, you, again, can't really teach anything. And we saw Bitch doing that really well with Brutus in the interlude, where Brutus is, like, going to growl at Grue, and she kind of, like, pulls on the leash, and Brutus backs off before he even starts reacting. And they don't know how to do that with Bitch. They're just, like, Brian already escalated things so hard, and now Tattletale's trying to be reasonable, like you were saying, Tanner. It's just, like, not the moment for it.
Yeah, she's just not receptive at all to reasoning.
And while we're making the parenting analogies, we are a fan of Dr. Becky's book, Good Inside.
Oh, yeah.
The Good Inside philosophy is like, rather than trying to control behavior, you need to build a relationship, build a connection. And
yeah, they need to do that.
Right. You can figure out, obviously behavior needs to be managed, you want to stop harm from occurring, but you have to approach the problem as like, no, my kid, they're acting out, but they're fundamentally good inside.
They're doing their best.
They're doing their best. Let's start from there and work forward. And that's exactly what Taylor does at the end. It's like basically saying, like, I see you. What you did is good. Yeah. You're a good person.
And it took me a while to realize after this why this moment I loved so much, apart from recognizing that it was this very empathetic choice from Taylor. It was the first time I felt like she did something heroic, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
So
I love that.
In a lot of the other situations where we're seeing her act, like, bravely during the Cape fight or during the incident with Bakata, it's sort of these crisis situations where you're responding instinctively, and, like, lots of people respond differently. And this, because
those were brave, but,
right?
Yeah,
This
resourceful.
Because it was a choice, like a very deliberate choice that
she had
came
time to
from
think about
empathy.
it
felt like a much more heroic moment for Taylor for me.
Yeah, and I think I gave Taylor a hard time about this before, but like the choice to even be a cape, a heroic cape, is kind of a self-aggrandizing one. It's like, I want to go out and stop, the villains, and that's good for everyone else, but it's also like, but I want to be the one
cool
to do it.
And great,
No one other than Taylor is going to care at all that she is trying to heal these relationships.
Right,
That's it's a very... It's selfless in that way. Like, and she says, I want to leave it better than I found it, but like it is...
Yeah, okay, let's talk about that. So she does say, we've been talking recently about one of the conversations we've had in a recent episode that I think you haven't heard yet, Tanner, because it's not released, is Taylor gettable at this point? Like, if Lisa found out about... Taylor's plan and sort of was like, okay, but I think she won't really betray us, and like tried to win her over.
Right.
I don't think she is gettable at this point. I think she still believes in the Protectorate too much, and she's going to need to lose her illusions about the good guys before she can really fully belong to the villain side. That's my belief.
So I had some notes from back when I was still fresh to this chapter, and I was reading through some of these in preparation, and this was also the chapter where I felt like I no longer saw Taylor on the path to like being a hero, despite the fact that I just said it was the first time I felt like she was heroic. This was when I considered that the story might not lead back to her becoming like a hero cape.
Interesting. I mean, I obviously don't know what's going to happen. But I have long suspected that she's going to go in a villain direction. I think some of it was informed by just hearing, like, general stuff about the story before I had read it. It's really interesting that this is the point at which you decided, like, oh, maybe she won't go in that direction. Because she is still actually saying in this, sort of supporting what I was just saying, that, like, I'm not gettable yet. She says, like, I knew it'd be hard to turn on them, to pull off that grand betrayal, and turn their information over to the Protectorate once I had the information I needed. But when I thought on it, I knew I could bite the bullet and do it. I would have less regrets in the long run. I could even be proud of it in the grand scheme of things, maybe. So she is still saying, like, she is still consciously, like, she's aware of the danger and the difficulty of her allegiance to these people. She still thinks she's going to do it. And it's really fascinating because she thinks she will be able to transform herself when she does that. She will not just be able to start transforming her image into that of a hero, but redefining Taylor into someone confident and outgoing and brave. And I instantly was like, one of the formative narratives for me, sort of, that I was exposed to in my early 20s from like fat activism and stuff, is the idea of the fantasy of being thin. It's the fantasy that when you lose however many pounds you've always told yourself you were going to, all of a sudden you will be so friendly and outgoing and productive, and you'll take up all the hobbies you always wanted to. Yeah, it's just one of those things that like was going around the internet at that time.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's a classic like procrastinator's fallacy.
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
Or maybe like, I will finally check off all of my to-dos, and then suddenly my habits will develop out of nowhere, and
if I reach the end of the to-do list, it will all be easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll hit inbox 0 one day, and I'll never get another email.
This is the fantasy of being a hero.
Right.
If she's able to transform her public image, she will be able to suddenly have all the character traits that she didn't have before. And maybe that is actually playing right into your point, Tanner, that like she is imagining herself betraying them and becoming a different person, which fundamentally shows the fallacy of her imagining the betrayal, because she is imagining being a different person when she does it.
I can see that. I think the difference for me, why I took this chapter as a sign that I no longer saw the arc going from like temporary villain to hero, was that she's talking about the Undersiders as friends, truly as friends now, as in the past where she's like, I'm enjoying time with these people. It's kind of nice to have relationships.
That's interesting, because I feel like I got there sooner.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, we're reading much more slowly.
Right.
So.
I mean, just the fact that like Taylor and Bitch haven't had a lot of time to bond, but she's just gotten used to her, right? Like
Yeah.
part of
like,
her,
I like her. Even I kind of
yeah, part of
value
her
what she
thing
brings
here
to
is
the
like,
table.
oh yeah, and it's even a little more instrumental than that because she's like, man, when we went out without Rachel and fought Bakudo, we got totally creamed.
Yes.
And so it's like, I see your value now. Like, yeah, I like having her around.
I wanted to say earlier when we were talking about Brian wanting to get rid of Rachel, I was going to say, like, Taylor really thinks she's a great part of the team. She's a very effective teammate when it comes to cape fights or team operating.
Absolutely.
And it's funny that Brian wants to replace her when Taylor sees her so valuably.
Yeah.
I guess I wonder two things. One is, and this is just reiterating kind of what you were getting at, but she's like, one day I will transform myself.
Yeah.
But Taylor, you were changing every day. Everything
so
you do
true.
changes you, right? Like this sort of like fantasy of like, well, one day I'll transform myself. If you're not paying attention to what's happening day to day, you might have just assumed an identity of a supervillain who took out Loong and is now like publicly the target of a revenge campaign. Like, what it actually is going to go into that rebrand.
This reminds me of when I was a little kid and I learned about the concept of inflation for the first time. And I was like, oh no, I better make sure I find out when inflation is happening so I can have my money in the bank so I can make sure it gets increased.
That is adorable.
Yep.
That's such a childlike approach to it, too.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's harder to grow out of the, I'm going to change myself. She's only like 15. She still thinks like, doesn't matter what I do now. On this one day, I will become perfect.
Yeah. But I wonder if this was always part of her challenge with the becoming a hero, right? It's the escapism. It's the fantasy of it. And I wonder if that... We talked about, well, why doesn't she just join the wards? It could be the sort of insecurity of like, oh, well, I could, without any leverage, reveal myself to the authorities, apply to the wards, and face the reality of what that is like, whether there are other teenagers I don't like, whether they reject me, right? Like, and so I could imagine just a sort of like, oh, I could just make the fantasy real tomorrow, but like it doesn't feel right because I'd have to be a different person to actually like be a hero. Like I can't just go fill out a form and then become this brave, confident Taylor.
Do you think she had to prove to herself first that she could do it before approaching the wards?
Yeah, she wants to be a hero before she,
But also, I think what this is, okay, this is going to be spoilers for Scholomance, my favorite books in the world.
So good.
So good. This is Elle, the protagonist of Scholomance, the whole time she's at school being like, someday I'm going to figure out exactly how to prove myself so that I can get into an enclave. One of these days I'm going to do it. And then she finally has an opportunity to do it. She's like, no, I'm going to choose this other thing. And she realizes she never actually wanted that. She just had to tell herself she wanted it because otherwise what is she living for? And I think this is Taylor. She could have just been in the wards and she didn't choose that. She has been telling herself this whole time, I'm choosing heroism, but I'm just doing it via these villains. But really, she's choosing the villains. She doesn't want to be part of this hero system.
One other connection I wanted to make was this redefining Taylor into someone confident and outgoing and brave thing. It is in conversation with Lisa's pitch to her about Taylor getting a glow up. And basically Lisa saying like, hey, maybe you don't have to be so passive. I actually think you're great. And like, if you just took some bolder steps, like that Taylor would like really impress everyone, and it feels a little bit like, I wonder if Taylor like digested that or agreed with it, but I almost feel like she feels like she can't do that without fulfilling her grand plan. Yeah. Right? Like even
the
if
grand betrayal, as she says.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the second half of this, where Taylor's saying, but even though I'm going to betray them, I'd feel even worse about the betrayal if I left this kind of negativity behind me. And I was like, Taylor, what? If you betray them, you're going to destroy them, like, both, like, practically speaking, because the Protectorate will take them down, and also they'll be gutted by your betrayal.
Yeah, it feels very delusionally hopeful. I can maintain these friendships even after I betray them.
She says, she thinks she can maintain them after, but it matters to her to have had them successfully beforehand.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, no, maybe you could read it both ways. What she says is, It made no sense, but I wanted to have one successful set of friendships before I severed ties for the sake of doing the right thing. Then she says, I could only hope that the sore feelings would fade.
Oh, I assumed she meant her own.
Right, so now I see it that way too, but the way I read it was like, I hoped that they would forgive me.
But she's talking about severing ties. I don't think she's deluded about them forgiving her. I think she just somehow... I don't know, the only conclusion I could come to, but it doesn't quite feel right, is that this is a weak argument for what she really wants to do, which is preserve the option of staying in this group that feels really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there another explanation for why she would feel worse about betraying them while they're kind of down on each other?
I think it's just that she's bought in emotionally to the group at this point.
Yeah. But,
I also think it's Taylor projecting... She's sort of like, well, if Lisa betrayed me in some way, but I could understand her reasons for doing it, and it was professional, and it was part of the Cape Code, I'd be really mad about it, but I'd deal, right? That seemed like the kind of thing that she would believe. So, I think the reason why I'm reading it the other way is she's just kind of like, well, but you can separate what you do, at work from your other relationships, right?
I just can't believe she'd be that deluded. Yeah. It's just, there's just no way they can stay friends.
She's 15, and it seems like the first group of friends she's had in a really long time.
But she is planning to sever ties.
Yeah. But to your point, she's saying that leaving behind this negativity, she's sending them to jail, right?
Yeah.
She's not even imagining that.
This thing about I wanted to be able to tell myself I'd had one successful set of friendships, I think it is a cover for what she really wants, which is to have these friendships now and have them be good.
Yeah.
But I do, I guess, understand a little bit the idea of I want to believe I'm capable of this. Just almost that would be like a talisman to carry forward of no, I can do it. I can have these friends. I think really she just wants to have them and keep them as friends. And she's just trying to talk herself into... It's almost how when someone you break up with someone, you're like, but I really want to stay friends. No, you don't want to do that. What you want is to still have that relationship that felt good, even though you can't anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what's going on. She's just spinning herself a story.
Yeah.
Because she really wants to have these relationships and she wants them to feel good.
She just wants to heal her found family.
Yeah.
It's so nice. She is the heart. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
This is not related to anything, but I just ran across the name Hook Wolf again. Why is that the stupidest Cape name that's ever happened? Hook Wolf? What? Just he has a lot of hooks strapped to him and his name is Hook Wolf? What is that?
It's not very creative. I'm now imagining the hook shot tool from The Legend of Zelda, which is it's like a grappling hook, but you fire it, and then if it sticks to the right kind of thing, you get zipped across to it. Oh, so I'm kind of imagining that he has a wolf that he can throw that's a sticky wolf that pulls him to things. His description, he looks like a, gross, greasy Nazi guy, and he's covered in hooks.
Right. He seems to have the hooks through his body, piercings.
Yeah.
Which is quite the look.
Yeah. We learned that he's a big heavy hitter. His claim to fame is he's been apprehended twice and taken to the birdcage, but has escaped both times.
On the way there.
Not from the birdcage.
No one has ever escaped from the birdcage. I did want to point out, we learn that it is in British Columbia, BC, letters found in the word bucket. Just saying.
Oh, wow. Also birdcage.
What's the bucket thing?
Oh, yeah, this is our theory about how the birdcage is just a giant bucket in which you throw time-frozen villains.
Interesting, okay.
Ted, your point is better than mine.
Well, it's also, it's kind of cool. I appreciate that Wildbow is throwing in some cool stuff in Canada. The best prison for capes is in British Columbia. That's great.
That's really far from them. How are they going to get there and visit it?
I guess there's a long time for Hookwolf to escape, I guess. Makes sense.
I was just thinking of our heroes traveling across the continent.
Fair.
Because they have to see the birdcage at some point. They have to go there, right?
Yeah.
Gotta see that set.
I really enjoyed Regent's complete lack of participation in these two chapters.
He hasn't... Well, no, he said a little in the last chapter.
Very funny. I like to imagine that Taylor's theory is correct, that he's still on a lot of painkillers and he's just high as fuck the whole time. He's like, probably doesn't know what's going on.
Well, you had that comment about how Tattletale doesn't like
that's
Spotline because Spotline's smarter than her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that was funny. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't think he says anything in this chapter. I might be wrong.
No, he's just around.
It also seems like the type of thing that he doesn't care too much about as far as what we know about Regent so far. He's
not involved in bitch wrangling.
Yeah. Or the, like, villainy at large either.
Oh,
he seems to be
He's very much a kid in the family.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a part of the group seemingly situationally, where this is the situation he finds himself in, and he's not concerned more largely about the villain ecosphere of Brockton Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, I have said that he's the person most likely to betray them. Even though Taylor is consciously plotting to betray them.
But at this point we've decided, I guess, that she's not very likely to follow through.
I don't think she is. It would be fascinating if she did.
What do you think Alec would betray them for at this point, if he was going to be the person?
I mean, I certainly don't think he would, just betray them on a whim. But he seems like he's the weakest of them in terms of character. And if he were offered something really shiny and lucrative and cool, I could see it. But also, he has a pretty good situation, so I don't think he's likely to do it lightly.
I want to stand up for Alec.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Just because of his big hero moment in the bucket of fight.
Oh, no, that's true.
He's like,
that's true.
I know that this will feel like I'm punching shards of glass. But
with a broken hand.
With a broken hand. But I will save Grue and knock myself out.
That's so true. Yeah. I forgot about that moment.
And that doesn't mean that he also doesn't love money and video games and would be happy.
And isn't fascinated by watching a live person dissolve.
Yeah. Alec can contain multitudes. But I'm here to stand up for him a little bit.
No, I don't really know. He's sort of the sketchiest of them. But, I mean, they all have a great situation with each other. It seems like all the other villains are kind of awful, so, why would you want to defect?
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I thought that was just he was so quick to assume that Bitch had betrayed them. And I was like, I feel like that's telling on yourself a little bit if you think that one of the group might do that.
This sort of blaming somebody, projecting of blaming others for the things that you're actually doing.
Exactly. Yeah, and he had that thing where you don't know that I don't want more money, because I think when they were planning the bank job, Grue was like, "What do you need more money for?" Alec was like, "Stuff. I don't know." I don't remember what he said, but.
So what did you make of the first part of this chapter? The accusation against Bitch, and then the ensuing conversation.
So I think Hookwolf is being fairly genuine. He's super mad that his dogfighting ring got shut down. I mean, naturally, of course, you have a dogfighting ring. You don't want it to get shut down. He seems like a terrible person. Of course he's mad about this. I think Kaiser is just, seizing an advantage and being like, oh, I can put one over on these, because, we let them at the table for good reasons, but they're kind of upstarts. I want to assert my superiority over these Undersiders and this guy who's... I don't know if he knows that Grue's black, as we discussed, but if he does, he certainly isn't pleased about having to treat with him as an equal, I would assume.
Yeah, right.
And he just wants, he's constantly looking out for an advantage, I think. That's sort of his thing.
Yeah,
so.
and very subtle positioning from Kaiser, and it strikes me as intentional that Hookwolf brings it up in the sort of perfunctory, are there any other things that people want to bring up? I imagine, Kaiser told him, do it.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
End.
That's a great point.
This is my read, too. What it reminds me of is that awful scene when Zelensky was visiting the White House and Trump and Vance, dogpiled on him out of nowhere about never thanking the United States for funding Ukraine or something like that. And one of the intuitively obvious interpretations of it was just they kind of planned ahead of time that they would dogpile on him and try and make him flustered, to try and extract concessions and embarrass him publicly as part of this humiliation thing, in order to have an excuse to do whatever the policy thing of the day was of not going through with funding or not signing a peace agreement or a minerals agreement or whatever it was on the table that day. So reading this, I was like, this is the exact same thing. I had the same feeling that you did of They planned it ahead of time. Hookwolf is genuinely angry.
Oh, yeah.
It's very easy for him to be angry. He probably likes being angry all the time. And Kaiser gets to be the reasonable one. And the concession they extract, like, I honestly think Grue did a really good job of being caught flat-footed. But what he extracts at the end is basically like, oh, we came in here with a truce. And now I've gotten you to agree. No matter what happens over this next ABB saga, when we next come together, you owe me money or blood. Right? Like, that's where they left things. And it's really good for Grue and the Undersiders that they can stall. Like, that was a great thing to maneuver. But this is an easy win for Kaiser. And like you said, they're up and coming. There are new villains on the scene. He wants to be the top dog. And this was a very effective way of doing that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Kaiser is just...
What a smug asshole.
Oh, he's such an asshole. Like, I can see why Purity was so down on him. Not that she comes off great in general, but he really is like a slimy jerk.
He's very hateable.
Oh, very hateable.
Yeah, the sort of like Brian tries to be like, yeah, everyone knows you don't fuck with dogs around, bitch. And he's like, I'm more of a cat person. And Hookwolf was out of town. He must not have known. So like, oh, sorry.
The thing that got me was when bitch is like, you open up another dogfighting ring. I'll be visiting that one too. And Kaiser says, is that a declaration of war, Undersiders? We just agreed to a truce, if you recall. Like, come on, dude. No.
Yeah. But that's, I mean, I also agree... Not with any of Brian's actions, but I don't think that bitch should have said that.
Oh, no.
Even if
bitch
it's true.
Isn't tactful at all in any way, yeah. I thought Grue did a great job of saying, it's not so unusual for a cape to have a pet issue. You should know that as much as anyone. How would your people react if you forbid them from harassing or hurting gays, Kaiser? And he says, I wouldn't.
Oh, what a dick face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So awful.
But, like, that was a very good response, I think, from Grue.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate to me that Kaiser has such a cool power. Like, I love Kaiser's power.
I think you were saying something about this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it made it into the episode.
Yeah, I was talking about this a little bit, too.
Yeah.
It's,
a very cool power attached to such a hateable person.
I want him to die in this book. Like, I hope that Kaiser, like, has a real downfall. That would be so frustrating if he didn't.
Yeah. It's right. And I think, I mean, what do you think? Do you think we'll get that or not? Like, that's a fair game for speculation.
I mean, I don't know if he'll die, but I think he will end badly. That's
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know that that's going to happen. Sometimes we have to resign ourselves to a complicated reality, but that's what I want.
Yeah. And I guess it depends, like, is it going to happen next chapter, medium term?
No. I think it's...
Is he the big bad? Like, there's...
Is he the big bad?
I just trying to invite very far-reaching, bold speculation.
No, that is interesting. It hadn't occurred to me that we might sort of... Because they are the most hateable group so far. The ABB is awful and has been attacking our villain heroes much more than Empire 88 has, but Empire 88 is the worst group we've heard about.
They're also the most entrenched and the strongest.
Yeah, so, I mean, I could actually see them sort of being the ultimate big bad. I was thinking it was going to be more like the Protectorate, but... Yeah, I do think that part of what I hope to see out of the rest of this book is Empire 88 being destroyed. Maybe that's unrealistic, like the idea that, like, we'll just take down Nazism, but you know what?
But it's also...
Give us our fantasies!
Well, and the flip side of what we were saying about them, like, they're, like, just a villain gang, right? Like, they do have this toxic ideology, but kind of in a way that, I think Wildbow made this point on Discord. Part of including, like, Nazis are kind of like... They're like the characters it's okay to kill in movies and video games, right? So like their inclusion in Worm is kind of in that...
Oh, does that mean we'll kill them?
No, but it just means that they're sort of like...
Extra evil?
Yeah. If it came to a point where they were going to just mow them all down, nobody, audience or character within the world would feel bad about it at all. I think that's...
Well, then I hope that happens.
That's kind of the point. But right, the flip side is you don't have to dismantle white supremacy as a force.
No, true.
To
Kaiser as a person seems to be very powerful.
Kill a bunch of the Nazi characters.
Yeah. I feel like we even get, I guess, the last chapter, the information that Kaiser is like sort of nationally famous and does attract these powerful white supremacist capes to Brockton Bay. So you take out Kaiser, it would actually strike a really powerful blow against at least this pocket of white supremacy.
My question is, Coyle starts off the chapter with, he's been running the meeting. Mm-hmm. Oh, our business is concluded. Anyone else before we go our separate ways? Offers, announcements, grievances? I'm like, what is this? Is he like following Robert's Rules of Order here? Is this like the thing at a wedding where you say like, does anyone know why we should not conclude our business?
Forever hold your peace. Yeah.
Or
is he in on it?
Or is he inviting this kind of conflict between people? And what would that mean?
Well, we did just hear at the end of the last chapter, Tattletale telling Taylor that everyone at this table is figuring out how to make this work for them. And Coyle is trying to seem like this neutral party who's above it and just looking out for the common good. But, I mean, according to Tattletale, he's also trying to make good on this. And so maybe this is his way of sussing out if
so
there's
not
anything
necessarily
he can
that
use.
he knew about the Hookwolf thing, but that he's sort of like...
I think it's unlikely that he knew about the Hookwolf thing.
He would enjoy this now that it has happened.
He was inviting an opportunity for conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also possible this is just how they generally conclude the meetings. It seems like they have these every once in a while. So maybe this is just standard.
Yeah.
So one question I want to ask you about Coyle as well is, we learned last chapter, and maybe you discussed this and I just haven't been privy yet, is that Tattletale says that Coyle is the head of his group, but he's the only powered person.
If he even has a power, Tattletale doesn't know.
What do you make of that? Like, and that he's trying to be the neutral party controlling the meeting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I almost would prefer that he not have a power, because it's kind of cool to have someone in this world where developing this parahuman power is what gives you the ability to kind of step into this villain scene. He's like, no, screw that. I want to be evil too.
Yeah.
I want to control territory.
What a galaxy brain thing if you're just a normal guy and you're like, yeah, I'll put on the stupidest costume I can think of, and no one will even question that I'm a kid.
No, of course, yeah.
That's really interesting. I don't know if I ever thought about it from that perspective, but I have thought a bunch of times throughout the reading of Worm that I would hate to be in this universe and not be a cape.
Shout out to a work of fanfiction that is very popular and a lot of people on Discord have been talking about, called Tilt. That is an AU where Taylor does not have any powers.
Ooh.
It's like pretty long running. I think it just finished and there's going to be a sequel, but in a few years, Jenny.
I'm fascinated.
And maybe
how would she end
later
up with
tonight,
the Undersiders?
Yeah, I don't want to say more about what I know about the premise.
Yeah,
but
I can't read it yet.
Yeah.
I guess question, where does the fanfic start? Does it start from like the same starting point as...
That is my impression. Okay. I do know more about the premise that I can't say in front of Jenny, but yeah.
Interesting.
Lots of folks on Discord like it, but since you brought up not having powers in this world,
it would suck shit.
Yeah.
I mean, possibly you could just not be involved with the scene, but like, as we saw with the ABB, sometimes people get conscripted anyway, so...
And even the amount of destruction that the ABB is inflicting on the city at this point seems unavoidable, or like you have no power you're helpless if you're a civilian. Yeah,
I bet a lot of people join the military in this world for that reason. They're like, I don't want to feel powerless.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if like gun ownership is more common.
Yeah.
Just because, like, you're like, I need something that's powerful, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd go work for Coyle, right? Give me my, like, power armor, cool laser gun.
Or go work for the PRT or the Protectorate. So that you can be involved on ostensibly the good guys.
Yeah, give me my foam thrower. Like,
that's right.
The only way I can feel safe.
Yeah.
That's what I would want if I was in the Bay, as they call it.
The Bay.
The Brock. So... I wonder what's going to happen with the ABB. They didn't really make a plan to bring them down. It seems like all they're doing is just going to let the, white hats take care of it. We will agree with them to not, do too much action. But it also seems like the villains aren't really going to abide by that because they're all trying to use it to get a leg up on the others. So
like you do.
Yeah, like you do when you're
and
evil.
like the problem with the unwritten rules is like it kind of sounds like if you can persuade Coil and Faultline that what you did was above board, like you can do whatever you want, right? Like as long as you can get 3 people out of the 5 at the table to agree,
or
anything
bribe
goes.
them or turn them turn them against the others for some reason. Yeah. Now I wonder, this is sort of a last chapter thing. Was Skidmark invited? Because they didn't let him sit at the table.
They put up the bat signal, the bay signal.
The Brock signal.
I mean, I imagine he was only there because he knew about it. Probably because they were invited, and it was more of Kaiser just being like, you're below us.
Right, so he wanted, Kaiser and Coil wanted them there because, you want them to lay low as well. But, they also want to rub their faces in.
We get a little bit that, their reputation for being hot-headed isn't just, judging them because they suck. Like, the Undersiders are like, we're not going to go past them on the way out because, even though we just made a truce and all of the most powerful villains are right there and we'll come beat them up, they still might start something.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense. Like, you probably want to corral them and keep them informed, just to
that makes
mitigate the risk of something happening.
Yeah. So you were originally planning to read along as we recorded, right? How long did that last?
So I originally... Worm is something I had known about for a really long time and never started for a couple of reasons. I'd knew about its length, for one. I also knew it was vaguely superhero related, and I'm actually not that big of a superhero person as far as the media I consume. And so I decided to listen, mostly because you two are so good at discussing. And then after the first arc, I was like, oh, this is really good. Maybe I'll read as well. And I think it was... I read 2.1 the day the 2.1 podcast came out, and then I was just like, nope, can't do it. Immediately started reading the next chapter.
This is why you admire my...
I'm pretty sure...
I can read the next chapter
on
now.
Discord, you posted about this chapter, and then maybe you posted about one chapter other in arc 5 or 6, and then we met up in person, and I posted in Discord so I heard that Tanner's on arc 13.
Yeah.
And it had been a week.
It was pretty quick after that, yeah. Once I started reading, I had every intention of slowing down and rereading because I knew I was missing stuff. I definitely wasn't reading.
Not missing stuff.
Of course. But the level
one
of
advantage
discussion,
I had.
Yeah. The level of discussion that you and Ted have been having, there are so many more insights that I knew that I was missing by reading so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried to slow down for a little bit, but I think it's a good analogy to Taylor wanting to be a better person. I was just no, I'm just gonna finish reading this chapter while I lay in bed, and it's already 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I will slow down and reread some things and do it right. And then the next day I'm just still...
This is why I had to stop watching, I think, both Alias and Lost. I was I'm not going to do anything else if I keep watching these shows. I can't watch them in moderation.
Yeah. The great thing about Worm is it's good on a reread.
It is.
And now you get to listen to the podcast and hear all this analysis with the full context of what happens in the full story.
Have you reread any chapters?
So I reread a few chapters and this chapter. I read the last chapter of Arc 4, the Brutus Interlude, 5.1, 5.2.
Yeah, catching up the difference.
Yep, 100%. And
so everything we podcasted today.
Yeah. I have reread here and there some of my favorite chapters, but not too much yet. And honestly, one of the things that I really liked about preparing for this was I did feel like there were a lot of things I picked up on that I don't know if Wild Bow was intentional about some of the either foreshadowing or other things.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because this is another time we get to just tease Jenny. I did not realize how much foreshadowing there is in Arc 4. And it's very much this is kind of an allusion to this thing that happens later. This is a parallel to this thing that happens later. This is setting up for the first time something that pays off much later. It could be, right, that Wild Bow just had an idea. Oh, maybe I could start laying the groundwork for that.
Yeah.
Or it could just be You know,
Right,
he's
was
got a
he
good sense of the
thinking
characters and
ahead,
stuff and
or-
the themes, and so like these
Was he thinking
breadcrumbs
ahead, or
are
was he
here.
really good at playing off the stuff he wrote earlier?
Yeah.
That's what I was
Or
wondering.
both.
I've definitely been wondering about that, but
Yeah.
with the knowledge of what happens, rereading this chapter is interesting. Or the recent bunch of chapters
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
been interesting because of, and I don't know if I'm reading more into it because I know what happens, or because
No,
it was
it's-
actually planned.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, it's
It
definitely
can be there, even if it wasn't
Exactly.
planned.
It's definitely there in the text. It's definitely there in the text, and it's very satisfying.
Did you find the ending of Worm to be generally satisfying?
Yes. I do.
Okay.
I do have some. I think there's one specific qualm I have with the ending.
Okay,
that I would
I
love to talk
can't
about
wait to
when
be
we
mad
get
about
there.
specific things in the ending. That's going to
Yeah,
be so
yeah,
fun 4 years from now.
Well, having read Worm,
Yep.
are you interested in reading Ward or a Wildbow work in a different genre?
Yes to both. I know the premise of Ward, and so I'm very interested to see about it. I am a person who is generally very excited by spoilers.
Yeah, yeah.
So knowing like the setup and premise of Ward, I find very interesting. But you've also told me some of like the intricacies of some of his other works.
Yes.
You know, there's another one where there's a magic system that has specific rules about it that you've told me about that seems really fascinating to
Yes.
explore.
Yes.
I am not ready to jump back into a work that is going to be worm length.
And that might take over your life
Yeah.
for another month or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that was really interesting when I looked at the timeline of when I read Worm, I had just started dating my current girlfriend, and it was very beneficial that we weren't spending a ton of time together yet.
And now you maybe have a little less free
I
time.
have a little bit less time just to myself. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
would be hard to consume another of Wildbow's works as quickly,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely interested. And I am continually recommending Worm to Abby as well.
Yes.
Nice, yes. Win her over.
This is the effect. This is the
Tell her
desired
she can be
effect.
on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll have 4 people on. That'll be so fun.
That would be.
Yeah.
I'll put in another plug. If you get caught up on Seek, the web serial that Wildbow is writing now,
Ooh.
he's just approaching the end of Arc 3. The chapters are longer, posted a little less frequently than Worm.
But it would
But-
be less intimidating because it's ongoing.
Yeah. So there is a little bit of a binge to catch up, but it's, a week, 10 days between chapters. It's very good.
Okay.
It's a sci-fi space opera story, multiple protagonists, very epic scale, lots of far future technology that also feels near future in a lot of really fun
Ooh,
ways.
interesting. Okay. All right. Are there any wild theories that you have that you haven't talked about on the podcast yet?
Oh no, probably not. I've been sharing all my wild theories on the podcast.
Even all your bow theories.
Yeah, no, I mean I think everything I come up with comes out on the podcast.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm just excited to find out what this story is about. I still don't know apparently.
Yeah.
There's no way for us to say anything.
No, don't say anything. Don't say anything.
That is a good question.
Oh boy.
I mean, I will say, having read Worm, I don't know if I know what the story's about.
So I may never know. Okay, that's fair.
do you think Jenny will enjoy the rest of Worm? You know Jenny.
You've heard me talk about YA books a lot. Not that this is one, but
Yeah, so one of the things, yes, if you can...
This is exactly how I feel.
Yes, I do. I think...
It's good enough.
I think one of the things Ted has said at the beginning is that if you get to the end, you will be really satisfied. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
Nice. Are there chapters that I'll just be like clawing my or your hair out, Ted? Like I need to
hope
know
so.
what happens next.
I hope so. I hope so.
I think definitely yes.
Okay.
There are
Yeah.
definitely parts I think you will have a much harder time of only reading one chapter at a time.
Yeah, and I also I'm not a fan of horror as a genre. I don't really mind, like we talked about how I wasn't, super put off when Park Ji-hoo was dissolved. Like that's not the kind of thing that super bothers me to read about, but like suspense really gets me. Like Yeah. Suspense and like watching things people really care about be destroyed or be threatened, that's really, really tough for me to get through.
I also accidentally told Jenny the other day, I was characterizing some of Wildbow's other works in Claw, which is his shortest work, the one that he finished just before Seek, and is a alternate, real world United States of America, kind of a crime fiction, crime procedural type story. Includes a chapter that I personally found more horrifying and harder to read than anything in Worm. Ooh. And I think I characterized it as, I didn't think Wildbow could plumb those depths any further. And Jenny was like, wait, you didn't think so? Like
wait,
what
you
am I in for?
Worm was the most horrifying a thing could get.
So I may have made a mistake in saying that, but
I had forgotten you said that until just now.
A testament to Claw.
There are definitely things that are horrifying about Worm. I will say I personally was not horrified by anything in Worm.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good to know, I guess.
Yeah, and the point I was making, and this is, read at your own risk for Claw, but the fact that it's not supernatural or magical in any way makes the stuff that's horrifying hit a lot harder, right? Yeah. It's
there are some...
A home invasion movie is harder for me to watch than a vampire movie for the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There are some really rad scenes in Worm that I think I found rad that other people would find horrifying. Is the best way to put that.
Nice, okay. Well, when I get to anything really rad, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'll have a radness scale.
So, we haven't really done predictions. I don't really know what's going to happen after this. They left the villain meeting. There were no strong action items to come out of the villain meeting. There's obviously a lot of stuff that's going to happen with the villains, but it's unclear to me what's going to happen in the next chapter. I think maybe Taylor's going to go to school?
Interesting. It's been a week.
It's been a week.
Might
She's allowed to go back to school. She hasn't fully recovered from her concussion. If those bullies hit her on the head, I'm going to personally enter the story and murder them. I'll murder Kaiser while I'm there.
Jenny.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
If, let's say this happens, she goes back to school and runs into the bullies, what's going to be different? What's going to happen?
I think Emma's more curious about her than she was. I'm still very much on guard against Emma's curiosity. I think Emma is going to want to know why and how Taylor was injured. I don't know that she'll come out and ask, but I think there's going to be some surveillance investigation, something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about it.
Taylor, just same old, same old.
I don't know. I mean, last time we saw her with Emma, she was much more, she was speaking up for herself a lot more than she had been, which I think is why Emma is going to be more curious. She's sort of on the alert now that something's going on. I don't know. It is just harder to imagine Taylor standing there and taking that kind of abuse after what she's been through. She is so much more used to fighting back, but she still does have the ability to be very deliberate about her reactions. So, I mean, I can't, same old is going to be boring, right? We can't have that, but, yeah.
Maybe that's a reason not to go to school. Who knows?
If she doesn't go back to school, though, we don't get to find out what happens with the trio, and I feel like that has to be followed up on. We have to keep that thread.
Yeah.
But the trio and the whole Cape scene need to be connected soon, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll get another conversation with Taylor and Danny also. We haven't really gotten to see them talk since the accident.
I'd love to read you the first 5 words.
Please do.
Of the next
Please
chapter.
do.
There was a long squeal.
Huh. So apparently Tanner is at home listening to my predictions and squealing about them. All right, let me look at how this chapter ended.
We didn't say anything more.
The rest of the way back. Okay. So they did. So it's not like there's a squeal on the street and a car is going to stop next to them while they're walking back from this villain meeting because they got back. So we jump to some other place, time. We must jump a little bit.
Yeah. What place?
Squeal. Okay, so a squeal. I could see Tattletale squealing. I could see car tires squealing. Not sure what else would be squealing in this story.
A pig?
I mean, why would there be a pig? Is there a pig?
I didn't say there was a pig.
Just a possibility of a squeal.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that when pigs orgasm, it can last for over an hour?
I did know that, yeah.
I did not know that. I thought we were only doing hashtag worm facts. What's this hashtag pig facts?
Hashtag pig facts.
Okay. So a pig is having an orgasm, and Taylor is there.
It's a very long squeal.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't think it's a pig. I think it's going to be car tires, and a car is stopping next to her. Maybe it's Emma's car. Emma can't drive. Maybe it's Emma's parents' car. Maybe Emma's super old for whatever they're in 10th grade. I don't know. But,
She has a learner's.
She's a learner's permit.
Yeah.
So it's Emma and her father in the car.
Yeah. Speaking of learner's permits.
Yeah?
This transition isn't going to make any sense. Like 3 chapters ago, when they were watching a movie, they had to turn the TV on and go to a channel and find a movie that had only started recently.
I actually didn't notice that.
This blew my mind. Like, streaming has so totally changed how I think about consuming media. And, like, pay-per-view was obviously a thing at this time. But, that phenomenon of, like, oh, yeah, I'll put on TCM and just see what's on.
Yeah.
What just started, you know.
Very funny.
We can cut that. It doesn't need to go in this episode because it's a fun fact I remembered about 3 chapters ago, inspired by the idea of Emma having a learner's permit for some reason.
Is TCM the channel of movies?
Yes.
Turner Classic Movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was only allowed to watch PBS, and we didn't have cable or anything.
The movie channel, TCM.
That's why I was like, oh, the movie channel. No, wait. Okay, so are there any cape names in the next chapter?
I don't believe so. I'll double check Spinagon's list.
Nice. We did just meet every cape in the world, so...
There are no new cape names in the next chapter.
Okay.
So, yeah.
There's
a long squeal.
It's a long squeal. Intriguing. Maybe it's Bakuda.
Yeah.
Why is she back already? I don't know. Tanner, thank you so much for coming to be a guest host on this episode.
Thank you for having me.
It's been delightful.
This was so fun. I think we should have more guests on.
Yeah.
We could even consider inviting Tanner back when we get to some of those chapters you mentioned, where some people might not like them, but you did.
Yeah. There's a lot to discuss.
Listeners, if you're in the Boston area, if we know you or if we don't know you, let us know.
Hit us up on Discord.
Guest.
And if you're somebody who is reading along to the podcast or sharing your reactions on Discord, it's really fun to have people who are new to the work come in. Yeah. We might also get some experts as well, some rereaders, but we love having you on, Tanner, and we'd love to have on other folks as well.
Thank you.
Did you have anything you wanted to share with the listeners before you go?
Yes. So, as a sign-off for this episode, if you liked this moment of Taylor, saying good to bitch at the end as this character beat, really indicating that how empathetic of a character she is, that sort of thing, I would like to really suggest One Piece, the live action on Netflix.
Oh.
In episode 7, there's a moment where the main character, Luffy, has a very similar beat.
Ooh.
So
Ted, we might need to watch this.
Yeah.
There was somebody on his crew who seems to betray the crew, but Luffy doesn't believe them.
Oh.
And in a moment where they're in crisis, he goes to them and they're like, Luffy, I told you to leave. And he says, you did. Luffy, you don't know what's going on. He says, I don't. And then they ask Luffy, help me. And he says, of course I will.
Oh, yeah.
And it feels very analogous to this moment of Taylor reaching out to Bitch.
Okay.
Yeah, I could imagine that. That's
awesome. We might need to watch a thing, Ted.
Yeah.
In all our non-podcasting time.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that's about it for us for this episode.
All right, we'll find out what happens next.
On
Inchworm.
Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildvote. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.